Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you about my participation in the Virginia QSO Party. Welcome back and thanks for being here. My name is Scott, call sign KE4WMF, and a QSO Party is a contest where people try to make as many contacts within the given state's counties as possible. And so in the case of a Virginia QSO Party, people in Virginia are trying to reach as many people in as many counties in Virginia as possible, and people outside of Virginia are trying to contact into the state and punch out as many counties as they can. And so a QSO, it can be a long discussion, but in the case of a contest, it almost never is. It's usually just a quick exchange. In this case, we exchange call signs, the county, and a serial number. And so a serial number might be, if you are the very first person I talk to, and I'm sitting here in York County as I am right now, then my report to you would be 001 York County, Yankee Oscar Romeo. Mobile stations, there are three types. There are mobiles, which everything is in the car and moves with the car, and I can operate in motion. So I am a mobile. Then there's rovers, which is a car-based setup, but when you get to where you're going, you have to set up antennas. Maybe you've got some mass that you need to extend and get your antennas up higher in the air, or maybe you erect antennas outside of the vehicle. And then there's what's known as expedition, and in that case, they're transporting everything in a vehicle, most likely, and then they break it all out, set it up. Maybe they've got an awning and throw antennas in the trees and everything, but they all ID as Mike M for mobile, and contacts to them are worth more points. And then the key with them, us, is we can then pack up and go to a different county, and everybody gets to work us again as if we are a brand new station, and then we get to work all of the fixed stations again as if we've never worked them before. So it's a different QSO. It's kind of cool. It's a challenge. I don't know how well it would appeal to me if I was doing this in home, but being mobile, I enjoy the challenge of going from one location to the next to see how many counties I can activate and how many QSOs I can make from each county. But I don't necessarily go hog wild with it. All right, so in this video, I'm not going to share along the progress of me making QSOs because time is precious during a contest. So I'm not going to roll through any footage of of me working during the contest. Instead, I'm just going to share how things turned out. I roved through 15 different counties or independent cities. The log actually says 14, so I must have mistakenly counted one. Maybe my home city or county, I might have counted that on accident. I didn't make any QSOs from home. How ironic is that? All of my QSOs were from somewhere else. Last year, I made a lot of my contacts from the independent cities. I live where there are 7 independent cities very close to each other, and they're all bordered by counties, and so it was very easy for me to hit those 7 cities. But I did not make a lot of contacts from them, first because the bands were really crowded. The cities were really noisy. I remember Virginia Beach, at least where I was trying to set up, just nothing but power line noise everywhere. And so this year I decided to go into the sticks and hit the counties that were not independent cities. And so some of these places where I set up were very wooded, kind of like where I am right now. Some of it was literally gravel roads. I would try to find a place in the open where I didn't have any obstructions, and I would try to avoid power lines. Like right now, gosh, I think the nearest power line to me is probably several hundred yards away, so that's good. No power lines, no trees in the way. I mean, I do have trees right behind me, but that's not a big deal. And I try to find a place that is mostly flat, which in some areas of Virginia, that's nearly impossible. And then I will just kind of set up shop. So when I get in, I try to park in a fashion to where these shades will do something. Yeah, I think you can see that. So I have a shade in the window right now because the sun is right there and will be glaring in my face. I'm trying to control the temperature of the car, and so I might have a shade just up right here. I might actually put up the windshield shade. Right now I'm not doing that because I need to control the light so you can see my pretty face. And then, I don't think you can see it on this camera, but I have a fan right there. This fan was reviewed by K8MRD Radio at the time. Now he's ham radio tube. Fantastic fan. It's USB powered. It's easy to charge. And there were times when it was around 90 degrees in the car. But that fan makes it bearable. I wasn't sitting out here sweating or anything. It did feel a bit warm, but it wasn't awful at all. Anyway, once I get set up, I turn on the fan. I roll down the back window here. I put up the shades depending on what I want. If I want all, one shade up, two shades up, I usually leave at least one side down. That way if I'm approached, I can see it. And then I grab my desk, my portable desk here, and I slap it onto the steering wheel. And from there, my laptop is transporting right over here on this desk that I have set up. And you can see I've got kind of a mess going on down here, but there's my water. I'm not using the rotator. My glasses so that I can see. I'm wearing my my regular glasses right now, but as soon as I park, these come off and those go on so that I can see the computer a little better. But I basically just unplug the laptop, and then I just bring it right over here and set it up, and I operate the laptop from here. And this is how I get things done. And so as I work, I actually forgot my my adapter for my headset, so I did not use my headset this year. I used the regular old microphone. I did it old school. So there were some times when I was using the microphone with this hand, typing with my left hand, and then if for some reason I felt like I needed the change, and I would wrap the microphone around to this side, operate the microphone left-handed, type right-handed. It really just depended on how I felt. And so that is my setup. And I did cheat and use the keyer, the automatic keyer on my radio.
CQ, this is Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile calling CQ for the Virginia QSO Party. CQ, this is Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile standing by.
Now the red light did not turn on, so that did not get transmitted, but that was how I would set up and do a call for stations. And then if I was doing some hunting and pouncing, then what I would do is I'd push this one.
Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile.
It sounds lazy, and it kind of is, but one thing that I like about it, Dan, WD4DAN, said in an interview that the thing he likes about it is it sounds the same every single time.
Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile.
That consistent sound, when you hear it the same every single time, eventually somebody picks up on it and they catch that rhythm, and then they can recognize it, not only here, but when I go to another county and I do it again, and then I go to another county and do it again, they get to recognize that tone. And obviously if somebody says, Kilo Echo 4 station, please, I might press the whole thing again.
Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile.
That's a little fast, so then instead I might pick up the microphone, Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike Foxtrot Mobile, slightly slower. That gives them a chance to pick it up. Or maybe they say Kilo Echo 4 Whiskey Mike something, then I just say Foxtrot Mobile. And they kind of pick up on that. And so that was my game. Now, I don't drive if I know that I'm going to be logging. So I only operate in these contests when I'm stationary. The rules say that the car has to be capable of operating on the move, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, in a single operation situation, they encourage us to not operate on the move, although I do know that some people do it. What I've learned, I learned it last year, but I didn't practice it as much this year as I should have or could have. But when you're hunting, that is so time consuming. You want to hunt the mobiles because they're worth more points. The tough part is when I do the hunting and I'm trying to break through pileups, which is not necessarily easy, but I might have to work at getting through a pileup for 2 minutes and I get 3 points. Or if I call CQ and I'm able to camp on a frequency and then I am the pileup, now I'm working 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Every now and then a mobile gets through to me. Anytime I hear a mobile, I give them priority. Bam, 3 points. Maybe another one, 3 points. And so that's the recipe for success for me. I want to say I was able to do that in the 14 different counties that I activated. I probably was able to do that in half of them. Let me talk about some of the tools that I use while I was out and about. And there are the primary one, it's not really a tool for me so much, it's for everybody else, but I beacon my location via APRS. In my case, I'm using APRS Droid. So I'm beaconing as KE4WMF-9, and somebody out there has a website, and then they will then display all of those stations on a special website. And let me see, I'll show you that website here real quick. Now, the contest has been over for a couple of days now, and so I'm not going to be able to show you a very active map. But this here is basically what that looks like. And right now you can see there are 4 stations congregated in this county around Washington, and nothing really anywhere else because I'm not currently beaconing. But from there I can also, once I see my position, I can scroll in on it a little closer and see which county I'm in. And of course, the people who are looking for me, they too can see what county I'm in. So that's beneficial as well. So sometimes when I'm driving, like right here, you can see this little town here called Kilmarnock. This is an area that I've never driven through. So this was kind of cool for me. But then I got to Kilmarnock and I could see here that I was in Lancaster County. And then after I had lunch there, I drove across just a little ways, and next thing you know, I'm in Northumberland County. Then I drove up this way a ways. Let me scroll out so I can see the rest until I got over to Richmond County. What is this? Oh, I did activate Westmoreland as well. So I was just kind of winging it because I had no plan to drive up there. I thought I was going to drive south and do the cities again. And I just decided that I didn't want to do the cities again. And so I went up here and did these counties. I was hoping to work Essex last, and then that would have driven me home. Instead, I was in Warsaw as the contest came to an end, and then from there it was a couple hours drive to get home. So that's this tool. The other tool that is available is this spotting page. And now, of course, the spotting page is all grayed out right now because the contest is not in action right now. But here, if I'm hunting, I can see who is available. I can see who's mobile. I can see what frequency they're on. And of course, these are all 2 days old, but I can see what county they're in. And then I can try to find them, look them up. And sometimes I was able to get in right away pretty easily. Most of the time I was. But if it had a stroke M behind it, oh, Pileup City there, I really didn't have much of a chance of getting in. And I got to feel the benefit of that when I was the one spotted on this page as the mobile, because then I was just getting bombarded by callers, which is good for me, and hopefully eventually good for the people who call me because they get 3 points. And then if I was in an area where county lines were pretty close by and all I had to do is pack up and be in another county in the next 15 to 20 minutes, that was good as well. So something else that I did that was kind of fun was I had some friends that were tracking me along. It was only 3, so it wasn't like a whole bunch of them. But what would happen is, especially once I got closer to their homes, we were able to do what's called running the bands. And so one of them I worked on 80, 40, 20, 15, 10, and 6 meters. I was not close enough to her to work her on 2 or 446. But then somebody else, I was close enough to work on 2 meters. He didn't have a 446 set up, but I worked him on 2 meter, 6, 10, 15, and I think that was it. And then a couple of others I worked on the HF bands. All right, so let me share with you my final statistics here. Now this is the log as it ended, and well, I'm not going to scroll through and show you all this, but in the end, I made 436 contacts. Perhaps one of these is a dupe. The total points, that's higher than 436 because some of these were 3-point calls. And then I got multipliers for being in different counties. Some of the people I talked to were also in different counties. They were moving, and then they multiply everything all out, and my final score was 42,720. Maybe a little bit removed from that for the dupe. I don't know how much got taken off. And then you can see how many different states I worked. And so the ones in blue are the states that I worked, or they called me, or yeah, in some cases I did call them, but most of them were calling me. Some Canadian stations, no DX. Where would that be? Oh, that'd be over here. So I didn't make any DX contacts. And then I worked 65 counties or independent cities. And so there's my final score. That's how all this works. And you can see here, N3FJP is my logging software. I like this. Again, this was not a demonstration of me running the contest. This was just how it went, how it turned out. A little bit of a look at my setup here, and I didn't necessarily show it to you, but you know, there is my my antenna controller, and so I was able to tune everything from here. I don't think I made any contacts over here on my FT857D. Well, actually I did. I made my 50 megahertz contacts on this radio because it's hooked up to my ATAS 120A, and then you can see I was scanning. It's a memory group that I call contest. It's got a bunch of VHF and UHF calling frequencies, and then I've got national simplex over here on this side. That's basically what I was doing. The only thing that I would do differently, I mentioned that I made some contacts on 50 megahertz here on the 857D using my ATAS 120A on the roof, and that's because I did not have my loops with me. I really expected that I was going to make the bulk of my contacts on 40 meters, because that's what I did last year. I didn't even try 6 meter, 2 meter, 20 meter, any of that stuff. Nearly everything was on 40 meters. This year I made more contacts on VHF bands, and so I kind of wish that I had my loops up there, because then I would have had a stronger signal, because a lot of people are horizontally polarized on 6 meters. So next year I will bring at least 6 and 2, probably 432 as well. Heck, why not? I'll just bring them all. 6, 2, 222, 432. That way I have options. And so that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to bring the full rotator and all that other stuff up there, just the loops. The loops are fine, just to give me the options. So there you go. That's my wrap up of the contest. Feel free to ask questions if you have them. I'm always happy to answer. Yes, I know I could have done better. I want to talk to the mobile stations that got more than 500 contacts. I want to know how they did it. If you're watching this video and you're good at this stuff, tell me how you do it. I'd love to hear from you. Comment below, send me an email, and I know I have room to improve, and I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'm not going to operate while I'm driving and try to log with all that stuff, but I know I can do better. So, as always, I appreciate you being here, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.